The great hall of the Galactic Summit was filled with bright lights and strange voices. Delegates from many worlds stood in circles, each one watching the human man who had been invited for the first time. His name was Daniel, and he was only a junior officer from Earth, but fate had pushed him into this moment. No one knew why the council had chosen him, not even Daniel himself. At the center of the hall stood the alien ambassador, tall and graceful, her skin glowing faintly under the lights. Her eyes were deep silver, her movements calm, but every alien in the room stepped back when she walked forward. She was no ordinary diplomat. She carried the weight of her entire species. Rumors whispered that her people could see the future, and that their touch carried power. Daniel's heart pounded, his palms were sweating. He told himself it was just a handshake, nothing more. But as he stepped closer, he noticed how silent the entire hall had become. Even the translators stopped speaking, waiting to see what would happen. The ambassador raised her hand slowly, her silver eyes fixed on him. Daniel forced himself to breathe. He lifted his hand, and in that single moment, human and alien touched skin to skin. A blinding spark rushed through his body. It was like fire and lightning, burning but not painful. Daniel gasped. The ambassador staggered. Both of them froze as glowing marks spread across their palms, symbols neither could read. The crowd erupted into shouts, some in fear, some in awe. "What is this?" voices cried. "It is impossible." Guards rushed forward, but the ambassador raised her other hand, stopping them with a single word in her language. Her voice trembled for the first time. "It has begun," she whispered. Daniel tried to pull his hand back, but he couldn't. Their palms were locked as if an invisible chain held them together. His heart raced faster. He could feel her heartbeat inside his chest, beating with his own. It was not just a handshake anymore. It was a bond. Suddenly visions flashed before Daniel's eyes, cities burning, alien ships falling from the sky, and himself standing between two armies. The images were gone in seconds, but they left him shaking. When he looked at the ambassador, her face was pale. She had seen the same visions. The council chamber was in chaos now. Some shouted that Daniel was a danger, others that he was the chosen one. But Daniel only stood there frozen in shock. He had only come here to shake a hand, and now the galaxy stared at him as if he carried its fate. The ambassador leaned close, her voice soft, only for him. "You are bound to me now," she said, her eyes glimmering, "and nothing will ever be the same again." Daniel's mind spun with fear and questions. He had no idea what she meant, but deep inside he already knew. That single handshake had changed everything, not only his life, but perhaps the future of both their worlds. That night, Daniel could not sleep. The images from the handshake kept flashing in his mind, burning cities, broken ships, endless battles. He woke up again and again, his palm glowing faintly in the dark, the strange alien symbols pulsing like a heartbeat. He rubbed his hand, hoping it was only a dream, but the marks would not fade. Every time he closed his eyes, he heard whispers, words he did not understand. It was not English, not any human language, yet somehow he felt the meaning pressing inside his skull. The voices spoke of fate, of choice, of a bridge between worlds. At dawn, Daniel stood before a mirror, staring at his tired face. He was just an ordinary man, nothing special, yet something was now carved into his skin forever. "What does this mean?" he whispered to himself. But deep inside, he already knew he was part of something he did not ask for. Later that morning, the ambassador came to see him in secret. She was cloaked, her silver eyes hidden beneath a hood. No guards followed her, no council members, only silence. Daniel felt his heart jump when she entered his small chamber. "You feel it too," she said quietly, her voice steady but softer than before. Daniel nodded, showing her his palm. "It won't stop glowing." Her eyes flickered with sadness. "It is the bond, the old prophecy." Daniel frowned. "Prophecy? What prophecy?" She stepped closer, lowering her hood. "My people once spoke of a day when a stranger from the stars would link with one of us. Together, they would decide the fate of many worlds. Some believed it was only a story to scare children. But now, after our handshake, the story is alive." Daniel shook his head in disbelief. "I'm not a hero. I'm not even important. I was sent here only because others were busy. Why me?" The ambassador's gaze softened. "Fate does not ask permission." Before Daniel could speak again, a sudden noise chewed outside his door, the sound of armored boots, voices whispering. The ambassador froze, her hand going to the dagger hidden at her side. "They are watching you," she said quickly. "The council fears what we have awakened." Daniel's chest tightened. "So what happens now? Do they kill me?" She shook her head slowly. "Not yet. But they will test you, And if you fail, they will not let you live. The whispers returned inside Daniel's head, louder this time. He clutched his temples as strange visions of alien symbols appeared. When he opened his eyes, he spoke words he had never learned. The ambassador's eyes widened in shock. He was speaking her language perfectly. "You see," she whispered, trembling, "the bond is already changing you." Daniel stepped back, terrified of himself. "I don't want this. I never asked for this." But even as he spoke, the whispers grew stronger, filling his mind with warnings. He realized with horror that they were not just whispers, they were guiding him, pulling him toward a path he could not escape. The ambassador touched his shoulder, her voice low and urgent. "Listen to me, Daniel. You cannot ignore this anymore. The bond will grow, the visions will return, and when they do, the galaxy will come for you, whether you are ready or not." Daniel sat in silence, his hands still glowing faintly under the dim light of his chamber. The ambassador stood before him, her cloak hiding her face from anyone who might pass outside. For a long moment, neither spoke. Only the sound of his racing heartbeat filled the room. Finally, Daniel broke the silence. "You said prophecy, fate, destiny. What does it all mean?" The ambassador's silver eyes fixed on him, steady but filled with a quiet storm. "You deserve the truth," she said softly, "but the truth will not bring you peace. It will bring danger." Daniel leaned forward, his voice low. "I already have danger. Tell me anyway." She hesitated, her fingers tightening on the edge of her cloak. Then she pulled it back, revealing not just her face but the strange, faint markings glowing along her skin. The same symbols that now burned on Daniel's palm. He gasped, realizing they matched perfectly, as if two pieces of the same puzzle. "My people are not only diplomats," she began, her voice trembling. "We are guardians of knowledge that has been hidden for centuries, long before your earth rose from the seas. My ancestors spoke of a bridge between two races, a bridge born not of war or trade, but of blood and spirit." Daniel frowned, struggling to understand. "And this? Handshake made me that bridge?" Her lips pressed into a thin line. "Yes. When we touched, our bond awakened the prophecy. But there is more you must know. My bloodline has carried this secret for generations. I was chosen not only to speak for my people, but to find the one who would unlock it." Daniel stared at her, stunned. "You mean, you were waiting for me?" Her eyes flickered with sadness. "Not you exactly. I did not know it would be human hands. But I knew one day, someone would come, and when they did, my life would no longer be mine." A heavy silence filled the room. Daniel felt the weight of her, words pressing on his chest. He had thought of her as untouchable, a powerful ambassador, but now he saw the truth. She was trapped by destiny just as much as he was. Before he could speak again, the walls shook slightly. A faint hum of energy passed through the air. The ambassador's head snapped toward the door, her silver eyes narrowing. "They are listening," she whispered. "The council's spies never rest." Daniel's stomach twisted. "So we can't even talk in private?" She shook her head. "No, every word we speak is dangerous. If they discover how strong the bond is, they will lock you away. Or worse." Daniel clenched his fists, anger rising. "And you? What will they do to you?" For the first time, the ambassador's calm mask broke. Her voice dropped almost a whisper. "They will end me. Because once the bond is complete, I will no longer belong to them. I will belong to us." Daniel's breath caught at her words. Belong to us. What did that even mean? The thought both frightened and pulled him closer to her. He wanted to ask more, but she raised her hand sharply, silencing him. "You must stay alive," she said firmly, her eyes locked onto his. "Do not trust the council. Do not trust even your own leaders. The moment they see you as a threat, they will destroy you. I will protect you for as long as I can, but you must be ready to run." Daniel's heart pounded, his mouth dry. The ambassador's secret was not just about prophecy, it was about survival, about war hiding beneath the mask of peace. And deep inside, Daniel knew this was only the beginning. The day after the secret meeting, Daniel felt the shift around him. The corridors of the summit station no longer felt safe. Every alien eye lingered on him a little longer. Every whisper seemed sharper. He could not walk without feeling watched. The guards at the gates used to ignore him, but now they followed his every step. Their helmets turned in silence, tracking him. It was clear. The council no longer saw him as an ordinary guest. He had become something else, something dangerous in their eyes. Daniel tried to ignore it, but the bond would not let him. Each time someone looked at him with fear or suspicion, the marks on his palm pulsed faintly, and somewhere across the station, he felt the ambassador's heartbeat echo inside his chest. The connection was stronger than ever. That evening, he entered the dining hall. Conversations hushed the moment he stepped inside. Aliens of every kind moved away from him, some hiding their faces, others glaring openly. He picked up a tray of food, but his hands trembled so much the cup nearly fell. Then he heard it, one voice rising above the whispers. "He is cursed," the alien spat, its voice full of venom. "A human binding with our blood is unnatural." Daniel froze, the entire hall turning to him. He felt the anger in their stares, the fear, the disgust. Before he could respond, the ambassador entered, her presence cutting through the tension like a blade. Every alien lowered their head, every voice went silent. She walked straight to Daniel, her silver eyes scanning the room. Without hesitation, she placed her hand on his shoulder. "He is under my protection," she said firmly, her voice carrying the weight of command. No one dared answer, but Daniel saw it in their eyes, the resentment, the doubt, the hunger for his downfall. When they left the hall, Daniel whispered, "They hate me." The ambassador's face was unreadable. They fear what they cannot control, and fear always breeds hate. That night, as Daniel tried to sleep, the whispers in his mind returned. This time they were different, darker, sharper, warning him of danger. He woke with a start and saw a shadow moving outside his chamber door. Before he could react, the door slid open and a figure stepped inside. It was not the ambassador, not a guard. It was an assassin. The blade in its hand shimmered with poison, its eyes glowing faintly in the dark. Daniel's heart pounded, his body frozen. But before the blade struck, a sudden wave of energy burst from his palm. The assassin was thrown back, crashing into the wall. Daniel gasped, staring at his own glowing hand in shock. The ambassador appeared seconds later, her dagger drawn. She finished the fight with swift, precise strikes, the assassin falling lifeless to the floor. Daniel stood shaking. They really want me dead." The ambassador wiped her blade, her face grim. "This was only the first attempt," she said. "More will come, stronger. The council is no longer debating, Daniel. They have decided. You are too dangerous to live." Her words echoed in his ears, chilling him to the core. He was no longer just a man caught in politics. He was a target, hunted by powers he could not escape. And as the bond pulsed again in his palm, Daniel realized one truth. If he wanted to survive, he could trust no one but her. Daniel sat on the edge of his narrow bed, his hands still trembling after the assassin's attack. The memory of the blade, the glowing marks, and the sudden burst of energy would not leave his mind. He stared at his palm, the strange symbols burning faintly as if alive. "What am I becoming?" he whispered, his voice unsteady. The ambassador stood nearby, watching him silently. Her silver eyes glimmered in the dim light, but for the first time there was no wall of calm in her expression. She looked worried, almost human. Finally she spoke. "The bond between us is growing faster than I expected." Daniel looked up, frustrated. "You keep saying bond, prophecy, fate. But what does it really mean? I can feel you in my chest, your heartbeat, your thoughts sometimes, even your fear. This isn't natural, this is terrifying." She stepped closer, kneeling slightly so her eyes met his. "I feel it too," she admitted softly. "When you bleed, I ache. When you fear, my heart trembles. We are no longer two beings walking separate paths. We are threads in the same cloth." Daniel swallowed hard, the weight of her words pressing deep. "So if I die," her eyes darkened, "then I die too." The room fell silent, both of them realizing how tightly their lives were now tied. Daniel looked away, trying to calm the storm inside him. But as he did, another strange sensation filled his chest. It was not fear this time, but warmth, a steady rhythm that wasn't his own. He turned to her quickly. "That's you, isn't it? Your heartbeat." The ambassador nodded slowly. "Yes, and I feel yours now, as if it beats within me." Daniel stood, pacing the small chamber. "I don't want this. I never asked for this, but at the same time, I don't want to lose it either." He stopped, realizing how strange his words sounded even to himself. The ambassador's lips curved faintly, not quite a smile, but close. "The bond is not a curse, Daniel. It is a gift. But like every gift of power, others will see it as a weapon." Her words proved true the very next day. During a council hearing, Daniel suddenly understood alien speech without the translator. The delegates gasped when he answered them fluently in their own tongue. He hadn't even realized the words were not English until the silence hit the room. The ambassador gripped his arm tightly, guiding him out before the questions began. When they reached safety, Daniel demanded, "How did I do that? I've never studied their language." Her expression was grave. "Because I know it. And now, you share what I know. The bond is teaching you, pulling knowledge through me into you." Daniel's breath caught, half in awe, half in terror. "What else will it teach me?" The ambassador lowered her gaze. "Everything. my strength, my pain, even my life itself. Soon there will be no line between us. Daniel fell silent, staring at her. For the first time, he realized this bond was not just about survival or prophecy. It was about becoming something neither human nor alien, but both, something the galaxy had never seen before. And as the symbols on their palms glowed brighter together, Daniel whispered to himself, "If the bond keeps growing, I don't know if I'm still me anymore." The ambassador's quiet reply lingered in the air. "Perhaps you are not just you, Daniel. Perhaps you are us." The council chamber was colder than usual. The massive hall with its shining pillars and floating banners now felt like a cage to Daniel. He stood beside the ambassador as dozens of alien leaders gathered, their voices overlapped, sharp and tense, each one arguing about him as if he were not even there. "He is a danger to us all," one alien growled, its scales flashing red. "No human has ever carried the bond." "This is against nature," shouted another. Others murmured that Daniel could be used, trained, perhaps even controlled. The word weapon echoed again and again, stabbing into his chest. Daniel clenched his fists, fighting the urge to shout. He wanted to tell them he was not a weapon, not a monster, but his voice felt trapped in his throat. The ambassador raised her hand for silence, her silver eyes calm but commanding. "He is not a weapon," she said firmly. "He is a bridge. Without him, our prophecy dies, and so do our chances for peace." But her words only fueled the storm. One elder leaned forward, its long fingers curling. "Your judgment cannot be trusted, Ambassador. You are already compromised by the bond. Your loyalty belongs to him now, not to us." Daniel saw the flicker in her eyes, the quiet pain she tried to hide. It was true, the bond had tied them together, and now even her people questioned her honor. Then, from the far side of the chamber, a new voice rose. It was not alien, it was human. General Ross, the highest-ranking Earth official present, stepped forward. His sharp blue eyes locked onto Daniel, his tone cold and heavy. "This man is no longer one of us. He belongs to them. For the safety of Earth, I demand he be surrendered for examination." Daniel's heart dropped, his own people turning against him. He stared at Ross, stunned. "General, I'm still me. I didn't choose this." Ross's face did not change. "That's exactly why you are dangerous." "Yes, Daniel, you can't control it. We can't risk what you might become." The chamber erupted in chaos again, aliens shouting, humans arguing. Daniel's pulse raced, the whispers in his mind growing louder. They warned him, betrayal, betrayal, betrayal. The ambassador stepped closer, placing herself between Daniel and the council. "No one will touch him," she declared, her dagger gleaming at her side. The elders hissed, some standing, others calling for guards. In moments, soldiers surrounded the chamber, weapons ready. Daniel's chest tightened. His instincts told him he was seconds away from being dragged away. The ambassador leaned close, whispering quickly, "They will not stop until you are in chains. We cannot stay here. Tonight, we run." Daniel's eyes widened. "Run? From the council? From Earth's generals? That's suicide." Her silver gaze burned with fierce resolve. Staying is death. Running is survival. For the first time, Daniel realized just how far the betrayal had spread. Not only the aliens, but even his own leaders wanted him gone. The people he trusted most had turned him into an enemy. As the council continued to argue and soldiers tightened their grip on their weapons, Daniel whispered under his breath, "If the whole galaxy wants me in chains, then maybe it's time I break free." The council's arguments echoed in Daniel's head long after the meeting ended. Every voice, every accusation, every threat, it all pressed down on him like iron chains. By the time night fell over the great station, he knew one thing for certain. He was no longer safe, neither on Earth's side nor among the aliens. He was an outcast caught between worlds. The ambassador led him through hidden corridors, her cloak pulled tightly around her face. Her steps were fast but soundless, every turn taken with precision. Daniel followed close, his heart racing, his hand burning faintly with the symbols of the bond. Behind them, he could hear faint echoes, guards searching, voices calling his name. "Where are we going?" Daniel whispered, struggling to keep up. "To freedom," she answered simply, her silver eyes glowing in the dark. He frowned. "Freedom or running away?" She looked back at him, her voice low but steady. "Sometimes they are the same thing." They passed through narrow tunnels until at last a wide hangar opened before them. Dozens of ships rested under the dim lights, sleek designs from every corner of the galaxy, but one in particular stood ready at the edge, its engines humming softly. It was small, fast, built for escape, not for war, but for survival. Daniel stared. "That's our ship?" The ambassador nodded. "If we stay, they will cage you. If we run, We have a chance. He hesitated, fear clawing at him. A chance for what? Her voice was soft, almost a whisper. A chance to live. A chance to understand what the bond truly means. Before Daniel could answer, shouts rang out from behind them. Guards had found their trail, weapons flashing in the light. Go, she ordered, pulling him toward the ramp. They ran, boots slamming against metal, blaster fire sparking against the floor around them. Daniel stumbled but felt her hand grip his arm, pulling him inside the chambre. Up! The hatch sealed shut just as blasts struck the hull. The ambassador rushed to the controls, her hands moving with practiced skill. Daniel strapped himself into the seat beside her, his chest heaving. The engines roared to life, the hangar shaking as the ship lifted. Soldiers swarmed below, ships powering up to chase. The ambassador's eyes narrowed. Hold on, she warned. Then the small craft shot forward like a lightning bolt, smashing through the hangar shield into open space. The stars stretched before them, endless and bright. Daniel pressed back into his seat, his breath caught in his throat. Behind them, alarms echoed through the station as enemy fighters launched in pursuit. They won't let us go, Daniel muttered, panic in his voice. The ambassador's fingers danced across the controls, her voice calm but fierce. Then we make them regret trying. The ship twisted and turned, dodging blasts of light, weaving through debris fields. Daniel's knuckles turned white as he held on. Each shot that passed them made his chest tighten. But through the bond, he felt her focus, her strength. It poured into him like fire, steadying his fear. For the first time, he realized something. He was not just running anymore. He was flying beside her, sharing her heartbeat, her will, her fight. And when he glanced at her, he saw the faintest smile on her lips. In that moment, Daniel understood. They were no longer just ambassador and human, no longer two fugitives. They were partners in the stars, bound by something greater than fear. And as the ship shot deeper into the galaxy, Daniel whispered to himself, if this is the road to destiny, then I will not walk it alone. The stars were calm, but Daniel knew peace never lasted long. He sat in the small ship's cockpit, watching the endless dark, his heart still racing from their escape. The ambassador's hands moved gracefully across the controls, adjusting their course toward the outer systems. For a moment, Daniel allowed himself to breathe, to believe they were safe. But then the bond pulsed in his palm, sharp, painful, like a warning. Daniel flinched, clutching his hand. Something's coming, he whispered. The ambassador's eyes widened. You feel it too? Before she could finish, alarms blared across the cockpit, red lights flashing. Dozens of enemy warships dropped out of hyperspace, their hulls glowing with deadly energy. The vast formation surrounded them like a cage of steel and fire. Daniel's stomach sank. They found us, the ambassador's voice was grim. No, they were waiting for us. The comm system crackled, a harsh voice filling the cabin. Human, surrender yourself. The ambassador cannot protect you forever. Resist, and you both die. Daniel's throat tightened, fear clawing inside him, but before he could speak, the ambassador cut the channel, her silver eyes blazing with defiance. They underestimate us, she said firmly, gripping the controls. The ship dived sharply, engines roaring as blasts of energy ripped past them. Daniel was thrown against his seat, his body shaking with the violent turns. The enemy ships fired in unison, deadly beams cutting through space, their small craft twisted between them, weaving like a bird in a storm. Still, one blast grazed their wing, sparks flying, alarms screaming. We can't outrun all of them, Daniel shouted, panic surging. The ambassador's jaw tightened. Then we fight with what we have. Daniel shook his head. We have nothing. This ship isn't a warship, it's a shell. Her eyes flicked to his glowing hand. No, Daniel, we have the bond. The word struck him like lightning. The bond pulsed harder now, alive, pulling at him, whispering to him. Daniel closed his eyes, and in the dark he saw visions. Shields of light, bursts of power, not weapons of metal, but energy flowing from within. When he opened his eyes, his palm was glowing brighter than ever. The ambassador nodded quickly. Focus. Let the bond guide you. Protect us. Daniel raised his hand, fear and doubt twisting inside him. But then he felt her heartbeat steady his own. Her strength poured into him, and his fear turned into fire. A wave of energy exploded outward, forming a shimmering shield around their ship. Enemy blasts struck the barrier, but instead of tearing them apart, the shield absorbed the strikes. The warships hesitated, pulling back, their formation breaking in confusion. Daniel gasped, sweat dripping down his forehead. I did it. The ambassador's lips curved into the faintest smile. No, we did it. But the danger was not over. More ships powered their weapons, preparing for a second assault. Daniel's body trembled, his strength nearly drained. The ambassador gripped his arm, her voice fierce. Hold on, Daniel. The bond has only just begun to show its power. If we survive this night, the galaxy will know. We are no longer prey. We are the storm. And as enemy fire lit up the stars, Daniel felt it. For the first time, he was not afraid. For the first time, he felt unstoppable. The stars outside burned with fire as enemy ships regrouped. Daniel sat in the cockpit, his chest rising and falling fast, his palm glowing weakly after the shield had faded, his body trembled, drained of strength, but the bond still pulsed faintly, keeping him upright. The ambassador looked at him with sharp concern, her silver eyes shimmering in the dim light. "You cannot push further," she warned. "Your body will break before the bond does." Daniel shook his head stubbornly. "If I stop, we die. I won't let that happen." But before they could speak more, the comm system crackled again. This time, two voices came through, one human, one alien. The alien elder's voice hissed, "Daniel, surrender yourself to the council. We will spare the ambassador if you give up this foolish defiance." Then General Ross's voice followed, cold and commanding. "Daniel, this is Earth's order. Return at once. You are too dangerous to remain free." Daniel's chest tightened, the weight of both worlds pressing on him. Humans demanded his capture. Aliens demanded his surrender. No side offered him freedom, only chains in different colors. The ambassador leaned close, whispering so only he could hear. "This is the moment the prophecy spoke of. You must choose, Daniel. Will you obey them or will you stand with me?" Daniel's mind spun, fear and anger clashing inside him. He thought of Earth, his home, his people, the planet he loved. But his own leaders had betrayed him, calling him a danger, a weapon. He thought of the council, wise and powerful, but already plotting to use or destroy him. And then he thought of her, the ambassador, her strength, her loyalty, her quiet sadness when she spoke of fate. Through the bond, he felt her heart trembling with both fear and hope. She was ready to fight, but only if he chose to fight with her. Daniel clenched his fists, his voice low but steady. "I've been a soldier, an officer, a loyal servant to orders all my life. But this isn't about orders anymore. This is about freedom. And I will not be a slave to either side." The comm channel burst with shouts, both human and alien voices demanding his obedience. But Daniel cut the transmission, silencing them all. The ambassador's eyes widened, a spark of relief and pride flickering within them. "You chose," she whispered, almost in awe. Daniel nodded, though his heart still pounded with fear. "Yes, I chose. And now, we live or die together." Suddenly, enemy ships surged closer, weapons ready for the final strike. The ambassador gripped the controls, her voice fierce. "Then let us show them what we are." Daniel pressed his glowing hand against the console. This time, he did not resist the bond. He opened himself fully to it. The energy surged through both of them, a river of fire and light. Their thoughts blended, their hearts beat as one. The ship's systems roared alive, energy shields stronger than before flaring around them. Weapons that had been silent now pulsed with strange power, as if fueled by their bond. Together, human and alien unleashed a storm across the stars. Enemy ships broke formation, retreating under the force of the combined energy. The stars lit with fire as their attackers scattered. Daniel gasped, his body shaking, but he did not let go of her hand. Through the bond, he whispered the words he had never spoken before. "No matter what happens next, I choose us." The battlefield of stars slowly fell quiet. Wreckage drifted across the black sky, the last flashes of fire fading into silence. Daniel sat slumped in the cockpit, his chest heaving, his palms still glowing faintly. The ambassador sat beside him, her silver eyes steady but filled with exhaustion. They had survived, but only just. The bond had carried them through, yet Daniel knew it came with a price. His body felt weak, every muscle aching, every breath heavy. And still, through the bond, he felt her heartbeat, steady, strong, pulling him back from the edge. For a long moment, neither spoke, only the hum of the ship surrounded them. Then the ambassador broke the silence, her voice soft but certain. "They will not stop hunting us. But after what they saw tonight, they will no longer see us as prey." Daniel gave a tired smile. "Good. I'm tired of running." Before they could say more, a new signal blinked on the console. This time it was not a threat, but a broadcast. Open to all frequencies. The council's voice boomed across the comm, shaky but clear. "To the human and the ambassador, you have shown power beyond any prophecy. We can no longer deny your bond. The galaxy has witnessed it. The choice now lies with you." Daniel leaned forward, confused. "What choice?" The ambassador's gaze met his, calm and steady. "They want us to speak, Daniel, before the galaxy, to show if we stand divided or united." His heart pounded, fear twisting inside him. He had never asked to be a symbol, never asked to carry two worlds on his shoulders. But as he looked at her, as he felt the bond binding their lives together, he knew there was no turning back. Minutes later, their small ship hovered above the summit station. Every screen, every broadcast, every eye in the galaxy turned to them. Daniel and the ambassador stood together, hands locked, palms glowing with shared light. The interspecies. Our universe held its breath, waiting. Daniel spoke first, his voice strong despite the weight pressing on him. I am not a weapon. I am not a curse. I am proof that we are not enemies. The bond between us is not chains. It is freedom. If a human and an alien can stand together, then so can our worlds. The ambassador's voice followed, clear and unshakable. For too long, fear has ruled us. But fear ends today. The bond is not just ours. It is a path for all who wish to walk it. Not war, not hate, only a bridge between us. The galaxy erupted with voices, some cheering, some raging. But in that moment, something had changed. The sight of them standing hand in hand, human and alien, lit a fire of hope across countless stars. Daniel turned to her, his voice low, but full of certainty. Whatever happens now, we face it together. The ambassador's silver eyes softened, and for the first time she allowed herself a true smile. Yes, Daniel. Together. The bond pulsed warmly between them. Not a curse, not a weapon, but something new, a promise, a beginning. And as the stars stretched endlessly before them, Daniel knew the truth. A single handshake had changed his life forever. But what they had built together would change the galaxy.